I have made a mistake here, and I realized my mistake about the same time as yesterday's episode got uploaded to YouTube. And one of the viewers noticed it and commented. However, how do I describe this? Okay, maybe I should zoom in a little bit, but the sights that are out on the end of, I guess you might call it the boom, instead of being turned up, they should have been turned down. So the idea being is that when the gunner is standing behind or sitting behind the gun, he's looking through. Just a moment here. Okay, he'd be standing behind the gun here, and he'd be looking through this slit, and there would probably be one part of the sight back where his eye is, and then this part here that is round is supposed to be hanging down. I mean, the way it's set up right now, you'd have to have a little step ladder to be able to look through the sight. Now, there's a lot of things missing in this piece. I can well imagine that the Pontos kit that Steve is making, Steve from the model shed, he's making this same ship, only he's using the Pontos detailing set kit, and I can well imagine, excuse me, that kit will have a lot more detail regarding these guns, like the little wheels to elevate it up and down or to swing it left and right, and then there would be, I believe there was 2 or 3 seats. Now this particular gun, I do believe, came in several variations. It was basically the same in that it used the 4 magazines and the 4 barrels, but I think that it had different configurations, as we saw yesterday. So some of them, had the shield, and some did not. I'm also noticing from some pictures that some have the sight on top of the arm, and some have it hanging down below the arm. Now, in this case, it should have been hanging down. So the other 3, just let me move in just a little bit here. Okay, we're zoomed in a little bit here. Now, the other 3, when I put them together, I didn't realize it was so difficult for you to see it way back the way it was. But this sight, instead of being bent up, it'll be bent down. And it'll be more correct for this particular configuration, at least from what I can tell anyway. Now, I will be putting the macro lens on in a minute or so here, but first I just want to give the overview of what I'm trying to do here. And my thinking is that if I can just get the sights just underneath, that way they'll both bend the same, and just sort of catch it here. Maybe it could go under just a little bit more. I am going to reposition everything so I can see better what I'm doing. Now the idea is, I'm thinking that if I bend this whole thing up, or bend at least those arms that are attached to the sight up, and then maybe bend the whole thing afterwards. How am I going to get it underneath there, though? I'll have to think about this for a minute. Okay, looking at it the way I've got it right now, it appears to be almost perfect here. Just make sure I've got it tightened down. Now, don't want to tighten it too much because it probably would have a tendency to want to squash those things. Now what's happening is the sights won't rotate. They should stay square. Okay. Now the sights are at right angle to the supporting boom. I'm calling it a boom because I don't know what else to call it. Okay. Now, where's the poking device here? Okay, I've got to carefully take this out so as to not bend anything. Now the idea is I want to be able to bend both of these forward at approximately, I was going to say a 45-degree angle this way. In other words, they'd have to be bent up 90, probably about 120 degrees around, so that when I bend this part here back at this little joint right here, everything should be at the right angle. The problem is, if I try to get this underneath here, naturally I can't push this in and then lower it because I'll squash the sights. Wait a minute, I'm doing this backwards. Why don't I just swing this around? Now I know some of you are probably thinking that I'm staging this, but really I'm thinking as I'm going here. Now, can it go this way? I'm just going to reposition here a little bit. Now, because this is going to take very little force to bend these booms up, I don't need to put this all the way so that this leading edge is right where the place has to bend. It's not going to bend anywhere else except right there. So I'll just use this to hold it down here. Okay. Okay, now my thinking is that if I come in underneath like this, I should be able to bend both of these evenly, as long as I don't press too hard. Now, these should go almost all the way around. Pretty much as far as I can go here. And that's about it. All right. Now, I have to be careful here. These will bend so easily. I think I already did bend this one a little bit. Just see if I can just push it back here. Just a tiny bit. Maybe I should be using something different. I want to be able to just very, very carefully. Okay, there. I think I pretty much got it the same as the other one now. Okay, now got to watch that the battery doesn't run out on my camera too. I forgot to change it first thing this morning. All of a sudden the camera will click off and then, okay, so I want to bend this now right here, but only I don't want to bend it this way. I want to bend it the other way. So maybe what I'll do is I will just use my photo-etch plier to just grab hold of it just across the shield part here. Okay, I've got a new battery in here now, and maybe I should mention that I've only once forgot about it to the point where the camera shut itself down. And what it does is it doesn't just completely shut down and you lose everything up to that point. It saves your work up to that point, then shuts down with a bit of a clack. And so you know that it shut down. It's not like it's a big surprise when you go to edit and find out you don't got what you thought you got. Now, while I'm thinking of it, we got a comment from Andy in yesterday's video. Some of you may have seen it. Now, for those of you who don't know who Andy is, way back, I believe it was in episode 157, something like that, quite a while ago, going on, I guess, close to 2 years ago now, and Andy sent us this. Well, maybe it wouldn't be 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Andy made this. This is homemade, and I think most of you probably know that, at least those of you who have been watching this series from the beginning. This is handmade. Yes, there are others like this out there in the world, but none exactly like this. So this one's kind of special. Anyway, in Andy's comment, he reminded me about the fact that I can put something out the back to do a reverse bend. And rather than use the photo-etch pliers, which are, Okay, these things here is what I meant by my photo-etch pliers. But when I zoom in with the macro lens and try to hold something exactly right and use these pliers, it's almost impossible. So I'm going to, take advantage of the fact that this thing is flush on the back here, and we'll stick it out the back. Okay, I'll put the macro lens back on now. Okay, we will put the macro lens on in a minute, but let's get ourselves lined up here so that the perspective is a little easier to understand. Now, I want to be so careful not to touch those. Now, if I can get my fingers low enough here, put that underneath like this. Now, this does not have to be perfectly straight, although it'd be nice, I guess. And we're going to want to make our bend right there where I'm pointing right now. So we'll just get it up so that the bend is right on the edge of the photo-etch bender. Now, if we crank this down, oh, you know what? I guess I should be turning it like that. Sorry about that. Okay, now we crank this down. Yeah, and I even put a little note to myself, keep my eye on the monitor so I can see what you're seeing. Yeah. Okay, now we'll put the macro lens on. Now I think if we just take Mr. T's poking device and very carefully just push down right here, and we'll bend it down not 45 degrees, but maybe only about 25 to 30. I'm just going to eyeball it here, what I think looks about right. Okay, I think once that this is, just exactly like this, mounted on the gun, it should be okay. Now let's see if I can get this out of there. Yeah, that looks just about right to me. Try and get it out of there without bending the sights. There we go. Obviously, this is the one we did yesterday that I did the sights, bent them up instead of down. I'm wondering what would I be able to take and just bend them down at 180 degrees, or are they going to break off? We'll just leave it. Now, here's the one that we just did. And it is supposed to go like this. I think I got the angle right. It could be that maybe it should have been bent, like this top portion could have been bent back a little bit more. But I think once we get it glued in place, it's going to look all right. Let's see if we can glue it in place. I have not glued this on yet, but I'm thinking of maybe trying to glue it just a little bit differently here. See if I can get this so that we can both see it. Now you see this little part that I'm touching here in the back right now. Now I do believe that our photo etch piece is supposed to kind of lean back against it and be glued to it. Not quite that much. Okay, about like that. So what I'm thinking of doing is try and get a little droplet of, maybe instead of using the medium, I'll see what would happen if I used the thin, and just put a little bit right there, wait for it to cure, and then reinforce it from the back with the medium later. At least that's the plan. So maybe I'll just leave it right on the rotator like that. It seems to me that we can both see it really well. At least I can. Okay, I know I repositioned just a little bit here. Just wanted to double check and make sure that I had everything still in focus and everything. The macro lens is so finicky for that. And this is just a dry run. So I want to see if I can, I just want to put it right there. Okay, let's see if I can get some thin on the end of that needle. Okay, I think I got it on there, and it does appear to be straight. Maybe it could go just a tiny bit this way. I don't know. Maybe see if I can put a little bit more on it. Usually a disaster happens when I do this. Okay, for sure I got it that time. Okay, let's let that cure. We'll just rotate it around here and make sure it looks right. I'm actually looking in the monitor right now and I can see it pretty good. Yeah, I think we did a much better job on this one. I wonder if maybe those booms should be bent down just a little bit more so that they're parallel on the same plane, if you know what I mean, to the barrels. That only makes sense to me. Well, nobody's going to see it anyway, especially at arm's length. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is cured now. And I wanted to flip it face down so that we can get at it from the back here with the medium. Let's get the macro lens back on. Okay, now, can you see that round thing that has the X in the middle of it? And just to the lower right of that, there's a little bump. Let me try and glue that bump. Did I get it, or did I move the shield away? Let me check the monitor. Okay, we got it that time. I'm going to just do the same thing on the other side. Didn't go exactly as planned. I know you can't see the other side, but okay. I think once it's painted, nobody's going to know. Yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. Now, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I think this is a number 18 blade. And I'm just going to see if I can just push those down just a little bit. Very, very, very gently here. Yeah, that's better. Maybe a smidgen more. You know, they still don't look quite right. We have spent enough time on this. Yeah, it's time to move on. I'm just going to go ahead now and we'll do the other two here the same way. And yeah, we've got a lot of work yet to do on this step before we can move on. So got a little railing to put on yet, and I don't know if we're going to get at that yet today. But I'm just going to go ahead and put this part on these two right here. I don't think there's any use fiddling around anymore with these. I've got them about as adjusted as I can get them, unless I accidentally bend something and have to straighten it out, which is a distinct possibility. Now, we've got a little piece of photo-etch railing here that we have to put on. It has to be bent into about a 1/4 inch radius, I'm guessing, maybe a little bigger. And it has to go on this right here. But we're going to have to leave that until tomorrow, folks. So thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.